My dear honorable brothers, we are coming close to the end of the first 10 days of Dhul Hijjah. And towards the end of these days, the pilgrims will start to perform their Hajj. Celebrities and famous individuals have performed Hajj, specifically those who reverted to Islam, those who are alive now and those who have passed away. And they highlighted the amazing experience that they had when performing Hajj, the great positive impact that they were impacted with. So today we're going to derive 7 success mindsets from Hajj, bi-idhnillahi ta'ala. The first success mindset from Hajj is from the action of tawaf, circumambulating the Kaaba, which the pilgrims do 7 times. Of course, the Kaaba is a structure. Even if the Kaaba, this structure, this creation that is there, isn't there anymore, then we'd still be facing this direction of the Kaaba, because it's about the location. However, the pilgrims circumambulating the Kaaba, it symbolizes the first success mindset from Hajj, which is that revolve your life around Allah and not vice versa. Revolve your life around Allah and not vice versa. So just like they are doing tawaf of the Kaaba and they are revolving around the Kaaba, we should revolve our life around Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by prioritizing the 5 daily prayers, by prioritizing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when we ought to give Him His rights. By doing so, the success that we achieve is we feel peace, we feel protection, because we prioritize Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala over our desires, whether it's love for the dunya, love for money, want to achieve more success of the dunya, even if it is halal. We feel barakah in our lives, we attain more blessings. Barakah meaning we achieve more in a span of time, or we have more success in a span of time. The second success mindset we get from Hajj is derived from the actions of Hajar alayhi salam, when she went up and down Safa and Marwa 7 times. And the second success mindset is overcome situations of difficulty through having tawakkul in Allah Azza wa Jal. Overcome situations of difficulty through having tawakkul, yani trust and reliance upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we derive this from Hajar alayhi salam, the sa'i, the going up and down of Safa and Marwa, the tradition of this that the pilgrims do during Hajj. It goes back to the actions of Hajar alayhi salam. And Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu tells us of the story behind that Ibrahim alayhi salam, one time he took Hajar alayhi salam, his wife, and his son Ismail alayhi salam to next to the Kaaba. And at that time there was, it was desert, or there was nothing there. Rather, it was barren, and there was no water. So Ibrahim alayhi salam left his wife and his son under a tree next to the Kaaba. And then he left them and he started walking away. And so Hajar alayhi salam followed him and, questioned him, saying, are you going to leave us here where we have no one's company to enjoy, no anything to enjoy? And so she asked that question many times, and Ibrahim alayhi salam, he didn't respond. And then she asked, did Allah order you to do this? And then Ibrahim alayhi salam said, yes. And then the next part of what she said is the key part here. She said, then Allah will not neglect us. Then Allah will not neglect us. So she had tawakkul on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, even though it seems like they could end up being killed. Imagine, no water. People, they reside in a place where there's water because they need water for survival. Water is more important than food. So she has tawakkul in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now Ibrahim alayhi salam just left with her, a leather bag full of dates or a pouch and a water skin. And so she continued to have the dates and have the water and suckle her son Ismail alayhi salam. But just think about her situation. It's a big test because imagine Shaitan could be giving her waswas that you're going to die now. Nothing there that can lead her to surviving. So when the food and water run out, now she is thirsty, Ismail alayhi salam is thirsty, and he's tossing in agony. And then eventually she couldn't endure to look at her son in this state. So she went to Marwa, this mountain, and she went up to see if she could see anybody, to get some help. And then she couldn't see anyone, so she came back down and she tucked up her robe and she was running like a person in distress. And so then she went up to Marwa to see if she could find anyone. No one there. And then she went back to Safwa and kept going up and down 7 times. And so after the 7th time, so this is her having tawakkul. She's doing whatever she could. There's nothing really she could do, but she's still trying to find someone. But she's having tawakkul in Allah Azza wa Jal. Remember earlier on she said Allah will not neglect us. She had that tawakkul in Allah Azza wa Jal. And then on the 7th time she heard a voice. And then she came to realize that it was Jibreel alayhi salam with his wing or his heel started to dig the place of Zamzam, and that's where the water came out, Zamzam water. And then she drank from the water and she breastfed her child Ismail alayhi salam. And we come to learn from this that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not neglect his people. We find from another authentic narration that one of the ways to be from the people of Allah Azza wa Jal is to memorize the Quran, to be from the Ahlul Quran. Memorize it and act upon it. They are the Ahlullah, they are the people of Allah and His Khassatuhu, His special ones, His chosen ones. There are many examples that highlight this, that when we're in situations of difficulty, close to death and so on and so forth, if you have tawakkul in Allah Azza wa Jal, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala helps us escape the difficulty. Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam one time, as I'm sure many of us are aware, when he had to escape the persecution of the Quraysh. So when he was going to do his hijrah with Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiallahu anhu, he was escaping them, but they were coming after him, they were chasing him. And then he went to the cave to hide with Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiallahu anhu. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us what happened. In the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, بَعْدَ أَعُوذُ بِاللَّهِ مِنَ الشَّيْطَانِ الرَّجِيمِ إلا تنصروه فقد نصره الله إذ أخرجه الذين كفروا ثاني اثنين إذ هما في الغار إذ يقول لصاحبه لا تحزن إن الله معنا فأنزل الله سكينته عليه وأيده بجنود لم تروها. So إلا تنصروه, if you don't help him, يعني Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, فَقَدْ نَصَرَهُ اللَّهُ, then indeed Allah helped him, and Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. إِذْ أَخْرَجَهُ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا ثَانِيَ اثْنَيْنِ, when the disbelievers drove him out, يعني from Mecca. ثَانِيَ اثْنَيْنِ, the second of the two. إِذْ هُمَا فِي الْغَارِ, when them two, يعني Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam and Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiallahu anhu, were in the cave, in the ghar. إِذْ يَقُولُ لِصَاحِبِهِ, when he said, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said to his companion, Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiallahu anhu, because Abu Bakr realized the context. As one narration from Ahmad highlights, that Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiallahu anhu was afraid for Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, because, you know, based on that narration, if they just looked at their feet, that's it, they would have realized that Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is in the cave, and they could have killed him. So Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiallahu anhu feared for Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam gave him comfort by saying, "La tahsan," no, don't fear, don't be afraid, don't be sad, don't be afraid. Inna Allah ma'ana, indeed Allah is with us. As they keep up having that tawakkul in situations of difficulty, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is displaying the tawakkul that we should have. Allah, the ma'i, Allah is with us. Then فَأَنزَلَ اللَّهُ سَكِينَتَهُ عَلَيْهِ, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent down the sakina, the tranquility, calm, peace, etc. upon him. وَأَيَّدَهُ بِجُنُودٍ لَمْ تَرَوْهَا, and yani, gave him assistance through forces that cannot be seen, yani the angels. So we eventually come to realize that Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he was indeed protected and saved by Allah Azza wa Jal, due to him having that tawakkul in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So if we are faced with situations of difficulty close to life and death, financial difficulty, issues with our relationship, hard situations where we cannot really do something, this is the time to have tawakkul in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and see how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala amazingly, in miraculous ways, helps us and gets us out from that difficulty. The third success mindset is derived from the act of sacrificing an appropriate animal for the sake of Allah Azza wa Jal, as the pilgrims do. So, a camel, a cattle, or a sheep. And this goes back to, in history, to Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam, willing to sacrifice his son Ismail alayhi salam. And the third success mindset is based on this, that when you sacrifice something for the sake of Allah Azza wa Jal, when you leave something for the sake of Allah, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will replace it with something better. Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam, he didn't have a child until he was very old. And then he made dua to Allah Azza wa Jal for a child, a righteous child. In Surah Safat, verse 100, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says what Ibrahim alayhi salam said, yani the dua, Rabbi habli min as-salihin. Yani Rabbi, yani Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is his Rabb, his Lord. Habli min as-salihin, yani grant me a child or offspring, those who are righteous. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala answered his dua. فَبَشَّرْنَاهُ بِغُلَامٍ حَلِيمٍ. So we gave him the good news of a boy that is forbearing. That is referring to Ismail alayhi salam. فلما بلغ معه السعي قال يا بني إني أرى في المنام أني أذبحك فانظر ماذا ترى قال يا أبت افعل ما تؤمر ستجدني إن شاء الله من الصابرين. So فلما بلغ معه السعي, when Ismail alayhi salam reached that age where he is able to now walk with his father Ibrahim alayhi salam, قال, he said, يعني Ibrahim alayhi salam is saying to his son Ismail alayhi salam now, Ya bunay, O my son, inni ara fil manam, indeed I saw in my dream, anni azbahuk, that I am slaughtering you. فانظر ماذا ترى, then look to see what you think. So realize that the dreams of the prophets, they are revelation. It's going to come to reality. So Ismail alayhi salam is submitted. قال, he said, يا أبت افعل ما تؤمر. Oh my father, do what you are commanded. ستجدني إن شاء الله من الصابرين. You will find me, if Allah wills, from those who are patient. He's willing to be sacrificed, killed for the sake of Allah Azza wa Jal. So then, فَلَمَّا أَسْلَمَا وَتَلَّهُ لِلْجَبِينِ. So, فَلَمَّا, when they both submitted, the father and the son both submitted to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَتَلَّهُ لِلْجَبِينِ. And then he positioned Ismail alayhi salam's head on, Ibrahim alayhi salam did this to his son, putting his forehead on downwards and getting him in the position ready to slaughter him. And then he was going to slaughter him, so he passed the test. And so, وَنَادَيْنَاهُ أَيْ يَا إِبْرَاهِيمُ, and we called out to him, Ya Ibrahim, قد صدقت الرؤيا إنا كذلك نجزي المحسنين. Indeed, you have fulfilled the vision, that dream. إنا كذلك. Indeed, we thus reward the muhsin, the good doers. So Ibrahim alayhi salam, they were the good doers and they were rewarded. How? So remember the mindset. They sacrificed for the sake of Allah. They were willing to do it. They passed the test. So what was the rewards? He passed the test, he succeeded in the akhirah, and he also succeeded in the dunya because he gets to keep his beloved son. He loved him so much. Right? إِنَّ هَذَا لَهُوَ الْبَلَاءُ الْمُبِينُ. Indeed, this is a manifest trial. وَفَدَيْنَاهُ بِذِبْحٍ عَظِيمٍ. And we ransomed him, Ismail alayhi salam, with a great sacrifice, a ram. So they also got a ram. وَتَرَكْنَا عَلَيْهِ فِي الْآخِرِينَ. And we left for him, Ibrahim alayhi salam, a good remembrance, a good mention in the future generations. How many of us we respect, whether Muslims or non-Muslims? We have that great respect for Ibrahim alayhi salam, Abraham. So we come to realize from other stories as well that this is the case. No doubt, of course. Like Prophet Ayub alayhi salam, he was living a good life and then he lost everything. His family, his health was deteriorating, but he was patient. He had tawakkul in Allah Azza wa Jal and made dua to Allah. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala rewarded him by giving him everything back. And we come to know from a hadith that he was having a ghusl, naked, and golden locusts began to fall upon him, and he started to collect the golden locusts in his clothes. So this is what happens. Sometimes you'll be tested and it's difficult. You might have to leave your job because you're dealing directly with riba, or you have to leave this job because you cannot pray Jumu'ah, or you cannot do this because it's going to compromise the principles of your deen. But you do it. Initially it looks like it's hard, it's going to make your life hard. When you do it, when you prove to Allah that, look, I'm willing to sacrifice whoever for your sake, then we find that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala replaces it with that which is better. We get that which we lost and even better. And we come to know this mindset from an authentic narration, where the Prophet ﷺ said that you will not leave something for the sake of Allah except that Allah will replace it with something better. أو كما قال أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم فاستغفروا إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, wassalatu wassalamu ala ashrafil anbiya wal mursalin nabiyina Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam tasliman kathira amma ba'd. The fourth success mindset we take from Hajj is that don't deem yourself superior to others, nor deem yourself lower than others. This success mindset is developed by the pilgrims when they go for Hajj and they're wearing the same pieces of cloth, simple cloths. They're not allowed to wear shirts, trousers and all these kind of things, even a hat. So they all wear the same clothes. Whether they're rich, they're so famous, or they're poor, doesn't matter. So this helps them to realize that, look, at the end of the day, we're human beings. Those who are famous and rich, they're not flawless. They have imperfections. They're just human beings like us. And at the same time, we don't feel, oh, we are lower than them, which we shouldn't do. We shouldn't degrade ourselves, from others. So we feel, that equality. But as the Prophet ﷺ, taught us that we are all from Adam alayhi salam. The Arab is not better than the A'jami, the non-Arab. Nor the non-Arab is better than the Arab. Nor the black better than the white, and vice versa. But who is better than who is based on taqwa, righteousness. So by developing this inner characteristic of being humble, of not at the same time having dignity, the right kind of dignity and respect, this leads us to, even outside of Hajj, when they come out, and even if we practice it outside of Hajj, we'll feel that we have better relationships with the human beings. So this leads to all kinds of success. We get on better with our people, whether it is with our family, whether with our employees or employers, with our colleagues. And this leads to better outcomes in terms of business and more fulfilling, satisfying lifestyles. Bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. The fifth success mindset we take from Hajj is from Surah Baqarah. وَلَا جِدَالَ فِي الْحَجِّ. And don't dispute unjustly during Hajj. So, you see, those who are used to disputing unjustly outside of Hajj, they get angry, they insult, they have a characteristic of the hypocrites, as the Prophet ﷺ mentioned, that they behave in this evil, imprudent way when they start to argue, or and إِذَا خَصَمَ فَجَرَ. They behave in that way. Now, if they want to have a accepted Hajj, they cannot do that. So they have to plan ahead. They have to control their anger now. They have to make sure they don't insult. So they restrain themselves. They have to overcome their ego to apply this, to not do jidal, to not dispute unjustly. So those who are sincerely trying to get a Hajj accepted, it's going to be a great development for them. And of course, we apply this even outside of Hajj, and we'll see great benefits. Again, it leads to us having better relationships with the people, because when we do this, when we control ourselves, naturally people can detect this, controlled attitude externally, and thus it will lead them to having that trust in you, and thus it leads to more opportunities, and also better relationships, better networking for your business, and so on and so forth. The sixth success mindset we derive from Hajj is that persevere in meeting deadlines, overcoming procrastination. You see, to get an accepted Hajj, certain parts of it are exhausting. You have to travel to Muzdalifah, then to the place of Jamarat, Arafah. It's exhausting. Those of you who have been to Hajj already, you can relate to it. But you cannot stop, you have to keep going. So you have to meet the deadlines. So the pilgrims are trained to meet the deadlines. So outside of Hajj as well, if we, the successful people say, whether Muslims or non-Muslims, successful in worldly life or in terms of the hereafter, they highlight the importance of meeting deadlines. So they say, give yourself deadlines. If you're entrepreneurial, you're not working for someone, you should give yourself deadlines, because this is going to push you to do things with ihsan, excellence, to do things with speed but with excellence. And the final and seventh success mindset we derive from Hajj is that be consistent in submitting and obeying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The more you are consistent in submitting and obeying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the faster your progression towards your grand vision, and the more abundant your achievements in this life and the hereafter. And this is derived from the pilgrim saying, لبيك اللهم لبيك لبيك لا شريك لك لبيك إن الحمد والنعمة لك والملك لا شريك لك. Meaning, لبيك اللهم لبيك, here I am, O Allah, here I am. لا شريك لك لبيك. Yani, you have no partner, here I am. And here I am, it means basically we are ready to submit to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. إن الحمد والنعمة, indeed all praises and blessings are for you. لك والملك, and sovereignty. لا شريك لك, you have no partner. So, they are manifesting, the pilgrims are saying this, and those who are sincere and understand the meaning and reflect, and they keep saying this, it's an amazing feeling that they connect to their fitrah in an amazing way. They feel truly submissive to Allah Azza wa Jal, and they manifest this submission by doing all that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants them to do in the Hajj, in terms of all the rituals of Hajj. And so if you apply this even outside of Hajj, you constantly submit to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we're going to see that we attain great success. وَمَن يُطِعِ اللَّهَ وَرَسُولَهُ فَقَدْ فَازَ فَوْزًا عَظِيمًا. Whosoever obeys Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His Messenger has attained the great attainment in terms of being saved from the fire and attaining Jannah. But we also find that whoever obeys Allah and His Messenger, the more consistent we are in submitting to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we find more barakah in our lives, because we're constantly doing what is best, constantly making the best decisions, constantly doing what is best for our family, constantly doing what is best for us. And thus we progress very fast towards our grand visions and attaining the great success in this dunya and the akhirah. There's more that could have been said, but we are limited for time. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us the tawfiq to act upon the knowledge, and may He grant us the tawfiq to take advantage of these blessed days where the reward is doing a good deed in these 10 days of Dhul Hijjah is more than any other day of the year except for Laylatul Qadr. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا يا مولانا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم. قوموا للصلاة يرحمكم الله.